Are you familiar with the plant medicine San Pedro, that cactus? Maybe you are, and you're wondering how to go about using it. What's the benefits of it? Well, fortunately, we have someone with us today who I really think is an expert on this. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. This is Eddie with A Mindful Emergence, where Margaret and I offer mindfulness, movement, and breathing practices for healing and spiritual transformation. We're in the waking up business. And thank you for joining on this video. And welcome to the video, Sinclair Fleetwood. Thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure, brother. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So Sinclair Fleetwood is the voice behind the Psychedelic Integration Podcast, which I was recently a guest on. Thank you. Which is an earthly portal to all things holistic, healing, plant medicine, and exploring the spiritual path. With a background rooted in social service, Sinclair spent a decade, not a weekend, a decade immersed in nonprofit disaster relief, women's health advocacy, substance abuse treatment, and education. Now, behind all this lay a tumultuous struggle with addiction, body image, and self-worth. And battling demons from alcohol to diet culture, Sinclair found herself trapped in a cycle of self-destruction. But by some miracle, she found the smallest light in herself. So she quit alcohol in the middle of Burning Man, left her career, sold her possessions, started traveling the world. She ends up in the Andes Mountains in Ecuador, immersed in an ancestral tradition, rituals of ayahuasca and San Pedro, facilitating for hundreds of others. And now she offers support as a certified transformational and psychedelic integration coach. Through her podcast, ceremonial work, and coaching, she helps others create lasting transformation to get unstuck. So there's so much more we could say, but I'm really keen on getting into this interview. So talk to me about San Pedro. What is it? Where does it come from? Yeah.
So San Pedro is a columnar cactus that grows in the Andes Mountains, and it's native to Ecuador, Peru, Chile, Colombia, Bolivia, Argentina, Venezuela. So it grows across the Andes, and it's been used for over 3,000 years in ceremony, back into pre-Incan days by a few different cultures. And there is some evidence of this, specifically in Peru. The Nazca culture used it, another culture called the Chavin. And there's a ruin in Peru called Chavin de Huantar that's essentially like a San Pedro temple. And they've been using these medicines in, shamanic healing to give the people their power back for thousands of years. And it's really very well hidden as a medicine, as far as, the ones that we know of: ayahuasca, psilocybin, all of the pharmaceutical medicines. San Pedro is kind of riding under the radar, which is kind of funny because it's so powerful and so beautiful. And I actually found out about it because I went to an ayahuasca retreat that also serves San Pedro. And I had some friends that were like, you gotta try this San Pedro. And I went for the ayahuasca, but man, that medicine, that cactus broke my heart open, and it helped me do so much healing. And it really became, as I worked in this field, my favorite way to heal. And so the psychoactive ingredient in San Pedro is the same as in peyote, and it's mescaline. But it also has all these alkaloids in it. So they're similar, peyote and San Pedro, but they're also different. And they feel different in the body. And San Pedro is known as the grandfather medicine. So it has this spirit of this deep, divine, masculine power, gentleness, love. It is an empathogen. And I've heard it compared to MDMA, which I always laugh because I'm like, no. I think that the reason people think that they're similar is because of the heart action that happens. But San Pedro doesn't really feel like MDMA at all. It feels like nothing else but itself. And really the mechanism of how it works is it brings your consciousness from the mind into the heart. And often what happens when that happens is very uncomfortable. If your heart is full of fear, anger, struggle, suffering, resentment, that's what's going to come up first. So my teachers say, yeah, the grandfather shows you what's in your heart and invites you to feel it. And then it can be a euphoric, really love-filled, amazing experience as you grow a relationship with it. And it can also be really intense and overwhelming and uncomfortable, just like all of the other medicines.
It's true.
Uh-huh.
My experience, I've had experience with both San Pedro and MDMA, and I love both of them. And
Mhm.
I found them to be quite different in many
Mhm.
respects. For one thing, the arc of the journey with San Pedro is much longer.
Yes, it lasts
And
from 12 to 16 hours
yeah,
typically.
and
Mhm.
when I did San Pedro the one time, I was outdoors almost the entire span of time. And that just seemed appropriate.
Mhm.
Why is that?
It's Well, I believe it grows in the sun, so it grows in high altitude, and it's also very rainy, so it likes really well-draining soil, but it reaches, it's just straight. It's very phallic even. Like it's
Hmm.
a this masculine like energy in this cactus is apparent even by how it looks, and it just grows, it's like growing toward the sun, which is also a masculine energy.
Yeah.
So it's collecting all of that light, and that's what it does. It vibrates us kind of out of
Mm.
our dysfunction and suffering into a higher vibration.
Yeah.
And it works so well with ayahuasca. It works really well with mushrooms, these more feminine medicines as the masculine counterpart. And that's kind of how I learned to work with it, was in a retreat setting where we were working with ayahuasca. Then we would have a day off, then San Pedro, and
Mm.
the grandmother and the grandfather coming together
Mm.
created an amplification of healing. I think that is really hard to find doing, just having ayahuasca on its own. I believe the ayahuasca mushrooms are similar. They can it's more of a dissension. It's like
Hmm.
going into the shadow, looking for whatever is there and wanting to, okay, here's your stuff. And San Pedro invites you to step into your power and say, okay, what am I going to do with this now?
Well, the thing
Um,
that I noticed the difference between San Pedro and ayahuasca was San Pedro had a friendlier feel to it. It brought
mhm.
stuff up, but it didn't just reach out and grab me by the throat. It
Yeah.
was more like, come here,
Mhm.
let's look at this. You know what people are thinking? I'm just going to run over to Walmart and buy me some San Pedro cactuses over there. Good idea?
Yeah, so you see them out at, Walmart, Home Depot, you can buy them on eBay. And most of the ones that are for sale around, the country are what are called PC, which is predominant cultivar, and they are clones. And they have been cloned so many times that there is no medicine in them. So
Mm.
they're ornamental. And well, you can go to Home Depot and buy one or whatever and cook it up, and you're probably going to have a really unfortunate time because it doesn't taste good.
Yeah, that's
And
nasty.
almost all of them don't have any mescaline in them at all.
Yeah.
But you can, as you learn, you can tell by looking whether or not there is
Mm.
mescaline present, because the predominant cultivar ones look a very specific way, and they have a specific like way that they grow, and you can just take one look and be like, nope, not that
Mm.
one. So they're hard to come by in the US.
No, you haven't talked about this, but I think anyone watching who, especially if they know us, is very aware of the fact that to do this, you don't just go and do it. You do preparation
Yes.
and you do integration work. So when you support people, you do a preparation process, screening,
Mhm.
not everybody, this isn't for everybody,
Yes,
right?
yes, for
And,
sure.
and then once the experience is over, it's very important to do the integration work to unpack the experience. Otherwise, we just sort of had maybe kind of an interesting experience, right?
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, it's not as intense as ayahuasca, as far as what needs to be done beforehand, the
Hmm.
medical guidelines. Like,
No
I
dieta.
personally do not serve medicine to anyone who is medicated on any kind of psychiatric medications. I do have a very strict screening process
Hmm.
as far as who is ready to receive the medicine. It's really smart to watch what you're eating, watch what you're consuming. And this goes for all the medicines. Like, what are
Hmm.
you putting into your body? What are you watching? What are you listening to? Really
Who are you
taking
hanging
care
out
to,
with? Who are you
yeah,
hanging out with?
like
Yeah.
like cleaning your vessel, clearing your
Mhm.
vessel so that you can receive the purest form of these medicines and be ready to hold the experience. If you come in all dirty, you can have an experience, but it's going to be messy and you might get, it's more likely that you'll get sick. San Pedro often will cause purging because it's so alkaline. It's not a purgative medicine, but it can cause that reaction in people. And sometimes the reason that people purge is because the vibration is so strong and it's like shaking. It can cause, the energy is so big, a lot of what happens sometimes is people will like tremble a little bit. And we say like, okay, that's the medicine, like vibrating your cell at a cellular level, vibrating the crap out of your cell, basically. So yeah, it's, all of the things that you would do for any medicine to get ready. That's what you need.
It's safe, but it's powerful.
Yes.
And it deserves respect.
Mm-hmm.
And approaching it with the greatest reverence, in my opinion. Yeah, yeah, it's very important. So this is great. So much you shared with us. I know I've learned more. How can people get a hold of you? I know anything that you share, I'm going to post in the description, but please let us know your website and any other contact information.
Yeah, I do want to say one more thing about the San Pedro.
Yeah.
It is best experienced in a ceremonial setting. This is
Mm.
not really a medicine that you want to do in your basement by yourself.
Oh,
It
no.
really thrives in a community setting, in a group setting, or at the very least with a guide, with someone
Oh,
who
yeah.
has a really strong relationship with it. I don't recommend that people do this one on your own at all.
Yeah.
It's
I felt that was
yeah.
sort of implied, but thank you for being very clear on that. Yes.
Yeah, it likes to be in ceremony. It likes the fire. It likes them
Oh,
singing.
yeah.
It really likes it.
Well, it's 3,000
So
years of tradition.
yeah, it comes from communal culture and
Hmm.
Andean shamanism and like these really ancient groups that have been using it for thousands of years. So
Hmm.
that's the best way to experience it.
Yeah.
The way people can find me, I have a podcast, the Psychedelic Integration Podcast. I have a great episode all about San Pedro. That's what it's called. And my website is sinclairfleetwood.com. I offer coaching, ceremonial gatherings, events. I do cacao ceremonies here in Asheville, and one-on-one coaching, group coaching, all different kinds of things. So I help people throughout the whole circle of the experience of medicine.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And in my personal relationship with you, that since I've gotten to meet you, one thing I know about you is that uh, you're very committed to honoring this medicine, honoring
Mm.
the tradition, honoring the process, and helping other people heal.
Mhm.
So
Thank you, brother.
thank you for the work. Thank you for spending this time with us.
Yeah,
And
it's my pleasure. I love
yeah,
San Pedro so much.
yeah. And all
It's
of
the
you
best.
watching, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Please put comments in if you have experience. If you have questions for Sinclair, put them in there and I'll send them off to her and we'll make sure that they get responded to. And also, thank you very much for watching. See you
Mhm.
next time.